Did you have fun? What did you do for the last 3 years?
I just have a ton of
Good for you. Good for you.
Jennifer Lawrence is one of those rare people who says exactly what is on her mind without worrying about how it will come across. Most celebrities are carefully polished in interviews, always saying the right thing and never stepping out of line. Jennifer is the complete opposite of that. She laughs at herself, tells embarrassing stories, makes unexpected jokes, and somehow always ends up being the most entertaining person in the room. Whether she is on a talk show, at an awards ceremony, or just standing next to someone famous, she has a natural ability to turn any moment into something hilarious and memorable. That is exactly why so many people around the world have fallen in love with her, not just as an actress, but as a person. If you have ever watched one of her interviews and found yourself laughing out loud, you already know what we mean. And if you're new here and you enjoy content like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Now let us get into some of the most entertaining moments this woman has ever given us. One of the most talked about stories Jennifer has shared involves a filming experience in Hawaii. While shooting on location, the crew was warned about certain sacred rocks on the island. According to local Hawaiian beliefs, you are not supposed to sit on these rocks, and more specifically, you are not supposed to expose certain parts of your body near them out of respect for their spiritual significance. Jennifer, however, was wearing a wetsuit for the entire shoot, which in her mind meant the rules did not quite apply to her in the same way. She reasoned that since she was fully covered, whatever she happened to do near those rocks technically did not count. She was using one particular rock to scratch an itch, which is funny enough on its own, but the story takes an even more dramatic turn when she mentions that a massive boulder ended up rolling down the mountain during filming and nearly hit the sound guy. The local Hawaiians on set immediately believed this was a result of the curse being activated. Jennifer, of course, was standing off to the side, fully aware that she had been the one scratching herself on the sacred rocks. She described herself as quietly standing in the corner like a guilty person, fully knowing she was the reason the boulder came loose. The way she told the story, with complete honesty and zero shame, is exactly the kind of thing that makes her so entertaining. Shortly after one of the biggest nights of her career, which included winning an Oscar, Jennifer found herself in a moment that most people would never expect to happen right after receiving one of the most prestigious awards in Hollywood. She was approached by a well-known and very famous man who made it very clear he was a fan. The interaction was playful and a little unexpected, and Jennifer handled it with her usual combination of shock and humor. She laughed through the whole thing, expressed genuine surprise, and seemed to enjoy every second of it, even though it was completely out of nowhere. It was one of those moments that reminded everyone that even the biggest stars in the world still get caught off guard sometimes, and Jennifer was more than happy to let the whole world in on how funny the situation was. When it comes to on-screen kisses, Jennifer has had quite a few over the years, given the number of major films she has appeared in. But there is one particular moment that stands out above the rest, and it is not what most people would expect. During a scene that clearly caught her off guard in the best possible way, Jennifer found herself genuinely enjoying a kiss to the point where she actually said so out loud. She admitted she liked it, which created a burst of laughter from everyone around. The charm of that moment was how completely unfiltered she was. There was no attempt to play it cool or pretend it was just another professional moment on set. She simply said what she felt, laughed about it, and moved on. That kind of honesty is something audiences genuinely appreciate because it feels real in a world where so much is carefully managed and rehearsed. One of the more surprising and funny stories Jennifer has ever told on a talk show involves a crush she had on a well-known television personality named Seth Meyers. She admitted that over the course of a week, she had convinced herself that he was going to ask her out. She had built up an entire romantic storyline in her head, imagining how things would unfold between them. When that didn't happen, she decided she was going to take matters into her own hands and ask him out herself.
She was at a costume fitting, fully prepared to go through with her plan, and even had intentions of giving him her number. The only thing that stopped her was a conversation with the wardrobe lady, who very gently informed her that the man she was planning to pursue was already engaged. Jennifer described the moment with complete self-awareness, calling herself delusional for having created a whole romance in her imagination that never had any basis in reality. The way she laughed at herself while telling the story made it even funnier. She simply said she responded with a cool acknowledgement and moved on, but the expression on her face while recounting the story told a very different story.
Jennifer Lawrence and profanity go hand in hand. It is not something she is ashamed of or tries to hide. In fact, she has been called out for it on multiple occasions, including on live television. During one particular appearance, the host gave her a friendly warning before the show began, telling her that the one thing she could not do was say the F word on air. Jennifer acknowledged the request, agreed to it, and then almost immediately pushed back by asking if maybe she could say it just once. The host gave in slightly, and then before the show had even properly started, she had already pushed every boundary that had been set. It was the kind of moment where everyone watching at home could not help but laugh because it felt so inevitable. No matter how many warnings she is given, Jennifer is going to be Jennifer. What makes her relationship with swearing even funnier is how it eventually turned into something productive. On one occasion, a host decided to use Jennifer's habit to raise money for charity. The idea was simple. For every swear word she could say in 30 seconds, the host would put $100 into a jar, then double the total amount and donate everything to a charity of Jennifer's choosing. Jennifer did not hesitate for even a moment. She launched into a rapid-fire stream of creative expressions that had the entire audience in hysterics. The words she chose were odd combinations that somehow made the whole thing even more absurd and funny. The audience loved every second of it, and in the end, a genuinely good cause benefited from Jennifer Lawrence's famously unrestricted vocabulary. Only she could turn something like that into a charitable event. In a more relaxed and casual interview setting, Jennifer was once asked what cocktail she would drink for the rest of her life if she could only choose one. Her answer kept changing. She started with one option, then switched again, eventually landing on tequila. The host pointed out at one point that one of her choices was not technically a cocktail, which flustered her slightly before she recovered and committed to her final answer. The exchange was light and funny, but it showed a very natural and unscripted side of her personality. She is not someone who comes into interviews with polished, pre-planned answers. She just talks, changes her mind, gets a little flustered sometimes, and somehow that ends up being more entertaining than any carefully crafted response could ever be. In the same conversation, she was asked about being a hypochondriac, which she confirmed with great enthusiasm. When asked what the last illness she was convinced she had was, her answer was a stroke. The symptom that led her to this conclusion was a headache, just a headache. One of the most charming things about Jennifer Lawrence is that despite being one of the most famous actresses in the world, she completely loses herself when she meets someone she admires. She turns into a regular fan in an instant. There's one particular moment where she approached someone she clearly admired and immediately apologized for interrupting, stumbled over her words, and expressed her admiration in a way that was endearingly clumsy. The fact that this was happening to someone who had walked red carpets and stood on Oscar stages made it even more relatable. Fame has not made her immune to the feeling of being starstruck, and she has never tried to pretend otherwise. There's also a very funny moment where Jennifer was having a conversation with someone who apparently was not that familiar with her work. When the person was asked to name 5 of her movies, they struggled, and then went on to compare her to another famous Jennifer, suggesting the other one was prettier, funnier, and had better movies. Jennifer sat through the entire comparison with a completely straight face before calmly revealing at the end that she was, in fact, Jennifer Lawrence. The timing was perfect, and the reaction it got was exactly what you would expect. Her dynamic with fellow actor Chris Pratt is one of the most entertaining things to come out of their time working together. The two of them genuinely love teasing each other, and the energy between them is always playful and full of energy.
In one famous moment, Chris revealed that before filming a particular scene with Jennifer, he had taken medication for an upset stomach, and then, during the scene, he felt her bumping into him, which sent the audience into fits of laughter. Jennifer was clearly caught off guard by the detail he chose to share publicly, but she did not let it slide. When a host asked her whether she was just going to accept Chris giving her a hard time, or whether she was going to do something about it, she made it very clear that she was absolutely going to do something about it. Then she produced a photo she had modified to make it look like Chris had the word rat written under his name instead of his actual last name. The execution was imperfect and the spelling was a bit off, but the effort and the energy she brought to it made it hilarious. During an interview that also involved Kim Kardashian, Jennifer was handed one of Kim's products from her cosmetic line and initially seemed to recognize it. She started to say she had one herself before catching herself and quickly backtracking. Then she explained that she had nearly posted a photo of something similar on social media before realizing what it actually resembled. The way she handled the awkward realization with a quick laugh and an immediate subject change was very much her style. Jennifer has also been completely unfiltered in conversations with Kim Kardashian directly, asking her very personal questions about her and Kanye's habits at home without the slightest hesitation. Kim's response was that she didn't fart at all, which Jennifer found genuinely surprising. The whole exchange was absurd and funny, and Jennifer navigated it with the kind of casual directness that most people would never dare attempt in that situation. When it comes to award shows, Jennifer Lawrence has had more than a few moments that became instantly famous. Her most well-known is probably the fall she took on the way up to the stage to accept her Oscar. When asked about it afterward, she was asked directly whether the fall had been intentional. She looked genuinely baffled by the question. She pointed to her enormous dress and explained that trying to walk upstairs in that outfit was the only explanation needed. When pressed further about what went through her mind as she fell, she paused, laughed, and said it was a word that began with the letter F that she could not repeat on television. The audience erupted every time. She has also been caught completely off guard at award show press conferences, not quite sure what to do when she reached the microphone and discovered there were no prepared questions to answer. She stood there for a moment, looked around, and honestly asked what she was supposed to do. When someone called out that questions were coming, she visibly relaxed and then got into it with full enthusiasm. She demonstrated different faces she could make to ruin a photo, committed to holding one of those expressions for the rest of the interview, and just generally made the whole room a more entertaining place to be. Even in simple trivia moments, Jennifer manages to be funny. When asked what the last word in one of the Hunger Games books was, she confidently answered that every book ends with the words, "The End." When told that was wrong, she doubled down, pointing out that every book in existence ends that way and suggesting that the people questioning her simply did not read enough books. It was the kind of answer that made no logical sense and was completely wrong, but she delivered it with such confidence that you almost wanted to believe her. Jennifer Lawrence is funny because she is real. She does not calculate her responses, she does not manage her image with careful precision, and she does not pretend to be something she is not. She is the person who accidentally becomes the curse on a Hawaiian film set, who almost asked out an engaged man, who swears on live television, who falls at the Oscars and laughs about it, and who sits completely still while someone tells her another Jennifer is better in every way before calmly introducing herself. There is nobody else quite like her in Hollywood, and honestly, there probably never will be.